Thank you for tuning in to the best parenting show on the internet, Post Daily Dose.
It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post.
Hey, Facebook family, good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Post Daily Dose with me, your trusted parenting advisor, faithful guide, and servant on the healing journey. What's my name? Big Papa Bryan+Post. Happy Memorial Day to everyone, and my thoughts and prayers go out to you and all of your loved ones that have served in the military. My mom sent me some pictures today. She went out to my father's grave site and just took him some flowers and I'm sure sent him lots of warmth and thoughts. My father was a Vietnam veteran. And so thoughts to all of you across America and everywhere else on this very special day. So wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about love today. Hello, Rose Baker. Hello, Sephora. And hello there, Mimi. So, I have a question for you. How many of you, when you were children, and this could be a hard question, I really want you to stop and I really want you to think about this. How many of you, when you were children, really felt loved? Now take a deep breath and just be really honest with yourself, because no one's there. It's just me and you. When you were children, when you were a child, how many of you really felt loved? I felt loved when I was a kiddo. I felt loved. You know, my parents struggled with my sister and I, and with my behaviors, with our challenges of being adopted children and the things that they did not understand about us. But in my core, in my being, I felt loved. So I never grew up feeling absent of that experience. But I feel like there are a lot of parents who did not grow up fundamentally feeling loved. Yeah, you can fill in the blanks and you can say, yeah, I know my parents loved me. I felt like my parents loved me, but did you feel loved? Because there are so many unique circumstances that I have encountered over the years with parents and their struggles as children that they don't really get to really look at, and I'm glad you felt loved, Sephora, and really get to honor and reflect on. And then what happens is your children show up in your life, your adopted children, and perhaps you got married or found a significant other. You found love and have since felt loved. But your blueprints for relationship. You've heard me say, John Bowlby said the first 3 years of our lives establish the blueprints for all of our future relationships. And I think that goes all the way back to conception. Now that we know, if we say the first 3 years, not just 0 to 3, but from conception, and now it's all the way up to 5 years old, since we know about how much the brain develops. That forms your blueprints. And there are a lot of parents who grew up in homes where the blueprints of true love, feeling loved and adored and nurtured and cared for, were not there. And it's not something to be ashamed of. It's something to acknowledge and be aware of, because you bring these children into your lives now, and many of these children did not have early core experiences of love. Some of these children, if they've come into your home at, 9 months old and 2 months old and 9 months old and 2 years old and 5 years old and 10 years old. They may not have ever experienced what the true security of love brings. See, love brings a level of security. Love brings a level of knowing that a lot of adopted children, a lot of foster children don't grow up having experienced. And then there becomes all this stress and fear in the relationship because of the behaviors and the triggering of the blueprints of, see, when the blueprints are not rooted in love, then the blueprints get rooted in fear. And when the blueprints get rooted in fear and stress sets in, what then gets stirred up and activated for you as an adult is stress and fear. What gets activated for your child is stress and fear. And so before you know it, you will have spent years being more conditioned for stress and fear. Today I put a post. I put a post on my Facebook page looking for a grant writer because there's some grants I want our nonprofit to apply for because there's some residential and some teen residential programming here in Crescent City and really in Chico, some of the bigger areas of Northern California where we serve families. There are so many homeless teenagers, so many teenagers that have aged out of the system and don't have families, and so many families who struggle with children, and the only options they have are to send them out of state. And I feel like there's a real opportunity for us to have a deeper impact. So I put a post on my personal Facebook page and on this Post+Institute page looking for a grant writer. So someone just popped a little message up on my messenger. But what happens is so families go years, and I know I grew up in this family too, because I know my mom and dad really struggled with my sister from the very beginning. And I cannot say, and I know my mom would attest to this, I cannot say that she felt loved as a child. It felt like everywhere she looked there was some rejection. And I know that later in life they were able to form some loving bonds and develop some greater closeness. But as a child, I don't feel like she felt loved, and I feel like that was rooted in her blueprints all the way back from when she was conceived. And so what families end up doing, they spend years and years and years together, and the children don't feel loved, and the parents feel overwhelmed and stressed out and not good enough, and they don't feel loved back. And so then there's all this focus, there's all this continued focus and obsession on children's behaviors. We're just obsessed about it. We are obsessed by children's behaviors. Like we have to get them to behave a certain way. And what we don't realize is that focus, that obsession is just creating more stress. Therefore, it's creating more fear. Therefore, it's moving us further and further and further and further and further and further away from love. The more time you spend in stress and fear, the further you get away from love. The further you get away from relationship, the further you get away from your ability to influence your child. And then the parent shows up and they're like, but you got to teach them how to behave a certain way. You got to teach them that, to do what adults say when they tell them to do it. And she can't just get away and do whatever it is she wants to do. Let me tell you something. Let me be really honest with you. I don't care how well behaved your child is. If your child does not grow into an adult that has a foundation of love, their life is going to be miserable. And your life as a parent to a miserable adult is going to be really painful. And you're going to regret all that obsession, all that time you spent stressing about their behaviors and that they didn't do this when you said do it, the way you said to do it. You're going to really regret that you spent so much time focused and obsessed on their behaviors and not nearly enough time helping that child feel loved and secure and nurtured and understood. I'm telling you, if you did not grow up feeling loved, you are probably lacking the blueprints for that experience. And you're focusing and obsessing on your children's behaviors right now, trying to get them to behave in a certain way. But what you don't realize is you are reinforcing the blueprints of stress and fear that they already have in their existence. Stop. Stop for 2 weeks. 1 week. 1 day. 1 day. Cast the stress and the fear aside. Cast all the judgment of society about how your child is supposed to behave, and do nothing more than focus on loving them. Sometimes it is through our ability to love another that we find the ability to love ourselves. Cast all that stress and fear aside, all that control, all that need to make your child behave a certain way for 1 day. 1 day. I want you to go for 2 weeks, for 1 day, and just work on helping them feel loved. Just work on helping them feel loved. And in that process, what I want you to ask yourself is this fundamental. When you spend a good day of just loving your child, I want you to ask yourself, have I done enough to help my child fundamentally feel loved? Practice more love than you do fear. Fear is the most natural thing that exists. Practice more love than you do fear. It's so much more important than all the other things that we focus on and become obsessed about. Hey, happy Memorial Day to you guys. Remember, in any given situation, you always have 2 choices. You can continue to react from the same blueprints of stress, fear, and overwhelm, or you can stop, you can slow down, you can take 3 to 10 deep breaths, and you can choose love. Perfect love and fear cannot coexist. Where there is one, the other is not. Big Papa loves you. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow.